To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman DeGroot.
Here.
Councilwoman Hayner. Councilman Secreto. Councilman Van Cleek.
Here.
Supervisor Quigley.
Present. Additions or changes to the agenda for this evening? At this point, we'll open the floor. At this point, we will open the floor for public discussion on agenda items only. At the end of the meeting, we do have a time for public discussion for items, if there are any that are not on the agenda. So if at this time anyone would like to come to the podium and speak, remind everyone we request a 3-minute time limit, and we will provide a microphone. And as we were reminded recently, when you are speaking at the podium, you are addressing the board. This is not a time to be speaking to the public. This is you are addressing the town board. So I just wanted to remind everybody, just so we can have a good back information time. So is there anyone who would like to speak now at the beginning of the meeting? Seeing no one interested? Okay, we will move on then to communications.
I have one communication this evening, and it was an email sent to myself and Supervisor Quigley from February 20th from town resident Joe Burns. As an avid pickleball player and town resident who spends way too much time at Post Park, I was inquiring about the possibility of putting in a pickleball court or two next to the existing basketball court on the north side of the park. From what I understand, it is not too expensive to put a pickleball court on existing flat ground. Also, another court or two in the area would be most welcome by many town residents, and it would enhance the park. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. I'm happy to help. Sincerely, Joe Burns. And there was a follow-up email stating that the pickleball court could be a great addition for summer campers and a place for the campers. Joe is here tonight and will speak during public comment.
Thank you. Okay, we'll then move on to the business at hand in our agenda. Our first motion for this evening is a motion to authorize the highway superintendent to purchase one 8520 Lee Boy paver from Hoffman Equipment for the sum of $270,167.50 through Sourcewell Cooperative Contract 060122-VTC. Entertain a motion for that, please.
Motion made.
Motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion accepted. The next motion is to authorize the transfer of one surplus CAT 930H loader from the Highway Department to the General Fund Transfer Station, AC account number 8160.200 for the sum of $65,000. This is the loader that was at the Highway Department, which is replacing the one at the transfer station, and the one at the transfer station is then going to be, Frank, auctioned off. Okay, so this is an appropriate transfer. So I'll entertain a motion that this be accepted.
I will make that.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please. Aye. Anyone opposed? The next item on our agenda is the unfortunate resignation of our tax assessor, please accept this letter as the notice of my resignation from my position as the town of Ulster assessor. My last day of employment will be Friday, March 15th, 2024. That is presented to us from Miranda Burholtz, and I would entertain a motion that we accept this. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next one. Another one, a motion to accept the resignation of HMEO Luis D. Felice from the Highway Department effective 3/8/24. It's been moved. That's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? There's no one opposed. We can carry. Motion to authorize the highway superintendent to hire 2 MEOs for the highway department. Rocco, you have this one?
His name is Justin T. Alika. Can everyone hear me back there? Employee's name is Justin T. Alika. Title will be MEO. Comes out of the highway department, comes out of the highway fund. Full-time union position, local 17. It's full-time coverage with insurance. It's a grade 6, step 1. Wages $19.01 an hour. His start date will be 3/04/2024. And I ask for a motion. I'll make a motion to hire Justin Alika.
It's been moved by Rocco, seconded by,
I'll second that.
okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
The second employee's name, I hope I say this right, Anthony J. Alamo. He's not here, so I guess I said it right. Title's MEO. That also is the highway department, highway fund. Full-time union position, local 17. Full-time coverage with insurance, grade 6, step 1, wages same as at 19.01. His start date is 3/25/2024, and I make a motion to hire Anthony.
Motion has been made. A second, please. Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item, motion to authorize the town clerk, that being Sue, to attend the New York State Town Clerks Association training, April 21st through 24th in Albany. Paperwork is attached. Entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize the building inspector, Warren Tutt, to attend the Hudson Valley CEO Educational Conference, April 16th through 18th in New Paltz. Entertain a motion to accept that. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. There is a motion to authorize the annual senior bus trip tentatively scheduled for March 22nd, 2024. This event has been funded in the 2024 town budget. August, thank you. Mrs. Reeve, would you like to comment on this?
I would like to say that in my 8 years here as town clerk, the town board has yearly budgeted for this, and I'm just asking for the same privilege to accommodate the seniors for the transportation part of any trip that is planned, specifically August, this year as well.
Okay. With that, accept a motion, please. Did we do that? Ms. Made, second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No one's opposed. Motion passed. Motion to authorize the supervisor, oh, wrong page. Okay, motion to authorize the town of Ulster senior picnic. We said that, all right, okay. Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2024 proposal for the Gatsby 75 actuary. We didn't do the picnic. Well, let's back up.
Skipped over the second.
It looks so similar. Yeah, okay. Motion to authorize the annual Town of Ulster Senior Picnic to be held at Robert Post Park on August 30th, 2024 at noon, and to seek a vendor to provide catering services. Sue, would you like to add to that?
This is an annual picnic, but we do have a vendor. It's this town resident Joe Begans, who owns
Great.
Joe B's, and it's a cost not to exceed $12 per person.
A motion to approve that? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Anybody opposed? Motion approved. Now let's go on to this one we started on. Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2024 proposal for the Gatsby 75 actuarial valuation services from USI Consulting Group in the amount of $5,000. I need a motion. It's been a motion.
I'll second
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor by aye.
that.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Chief, please come forward. The next three motions have to do with the firearm range agreements with three different organizations. So if you would explain that, please.
Thank you. Good evening. Motion to authorize supervisor to sign a 2024 Ulster Police Firearm Range Agreement with one Town of Rosendale, two Town of Woodstock, and three New York State Police. Just to advise the board, excuse me, the Town of Rosendale and Town of Woodstock would not be independently operating at the Ulster Police Range. They will be utilizing our range instructors during our in-service training cycle. So since they're lacking in the instructor area, we will be assisting them with their current in-service training cycle. They won't accrue any additional days for the Town of Woodstock.
So no more range time.
No more range time. The New York State Police will only be one or two times a year. It's just when their special operations group is in the area. They just looking for a range space. So that will be only additional 1 or 2 days a year that will add to our range time. These two agreements just indemnify the Town of Ulster and cover us liability wise should any of their members through all three agencies get injured or hurt at the range.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the chief? Okay. All right, we'll take these up as three separate. Thank you, chief. We'll take these up as three separate items. So our first one is a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2024 Ulster Police Firearm Range Agreement with the Town of Rosendale.
I will make that.
It's moved second. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2024 Ulster Police Firearm Range Agreement with the Town of Woodstock. A motion, please. It's been moved. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2024 Ulster Police Firearm Range Agreement with the New York State Police Department. Well, it has been moved. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? It has been approved. All three. Our next item is a resolution to authorize the town to proceed to public bid for the Rupco water line. Before we have discussion, I have a motion to accept that. I need a motion, please.
I'll make the
I
motion.
need a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments?
I'd like to explain that in conjunction with the Rupco conversion of the Quality Inn to a transition housing facility, Ulster County provided the Town of Ulster $2 million in ARPA funding to extend the Washington Avenue Sewer District and the Cherry Hill Water District to the west side of the New York State Thruway. The resolution tonight authorizes the town engineers, Bernier and Larios, to call for a public bid on the construction of the water line, which is on the north side of the traffic circle Route 28 by the Thruway interchange over to the Rupco facility. This project is designed not to cost the town $1. It is designed to provide the benefits to the town of an extension to a water and sewer district at no capital cost to the property owners that will be served. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments about it? Okay, with that, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. We have to let's take a roll call, please, on this one.
Woman through. Yes.
She took it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
No, that's okay. I was wondering where the AED was. Okay. All right. Okay, presentation. This is just a presentation of local law blank of 2024, a local law to amend the zoning code cannabis retail dispensaries. The details of that recommendation or the local law are in the packet and in the public packet. So they are there for people to review. There will be public comment in the future on this. And we are not voting on this tonight. The next item is says discussion. Discussion on the town's commitment to proposed modifications to the Ashokan Reservoir interim release protocol. This discussion would come. I attended a meeting last week at the invitation of the New York City DEP, the county, and state senator Michelle Hinchy. And there were the representatives from the towns that are on the Esopus Creek from the reservoir. So from the reservoir out to the Hudson River. The reason they brought us together is they're preparing to present a plan back to the director of the reservoirs, who is an employee of New York City. And there's a new director. They have been given the freedom by this director to work up ideas how to minimize the turbidity problem in the downstream of the Esopus Creek. They came up with some ideas and some plans that they wanted to float by the local communities, the people and they were largely the ideas that this community, led by our supervisor and others who have been presenting back to the DEP for many years, and they are now able to accept it and present it to their directors with an appearance that there may be consideration, and that is that through technology and through some agreements, they are projecting that they will be able to maximize the amount of turbid water to 20, and I don't remember the initials after that, but they're 20 parts per something. But it's much lower than what we are used to seeing at times when they've had releases from the reservoir. They used to think that they had to release all the turbid water, but through some enhanced technology and some theoretical stuff they're working on, they believe they're going to be able to handle the turbid water better. They're also going to be able to flush water from both basins and not just the one basin down the Esopus. The question came that was appreciated, that they were going to lower the turbidity coming out of the reservoir significantly so and restrict it. The question came, is that going to mean that though in the summertime there will be no water in the Esopus? And that comment was made clear to them that this is not acceptable if that's the situation we find ourselves in, because that creek is used for exercise and it's our creek, we all depend on it. So they seem to hear us. We should give credit to all but the towns in the past that have been lobbying for this. It appears that the DEP the local DEP people have heard it. And through the help of Senator Hinchy, they were able to get the New York City people to listen and are willing to consider these options. There's no guarantees, nothing is for sure, but at least the idea they promoted was a step in the right direction. And we are going to continue. We're going to continue to be on this, to stay on it, because one of the things I want to bring up, and one of the comments that was made is that when there's an excessive rain like there was this last week, there's nothing can be done. The Sawkill, the Plattykill, the flats, they all give out turbid water. There's going to be muddy water. That's what it is. But when you're 6 weeks, when you're 6 days or a week after a storm, and all of a sudden the creek goes up and there's turbid water, that's what they're talking about. No more of that, that it would be 20 parts per something. It's in all the little jars they put up is it was the second one from clear water. So it was extremely beneficial based on what they normally release. So it's good news that people are listening, good news that they're leaning in the right direction, but there were no promises. But it's nice to have it out in the public and so that people are aware of it, and it really works out well. So we will report on that as we hear more. Rocco, discussion about the municipal park and recreation grant.
Yes, this came upon with a project that we're running right now down to Orlando Street softball. Just about a year ago, we had one of our light poles fall down there. It rotted out from the bottom. So we brought our town engineer, Berneri Dennis Larios, into the project. We found another bad pole. So what we're going to do is we're looking from help from the state, from the county, with the help of the supervisor and our comptroller, with some COVID money that's left over. So we're going to apply for that to try to get this done down there, because it turned into a little project, turned into a big one. Finding out that the electric is bad. We have already purchased the lights. They're sitting up at the highway garage. But to make this project complete, we need these couple grants. Myself and Councilman Van Cleet, we met with Hinchy's office a little over a year ago. And we're on board, hopefully, for $100,000 grant from our office too. So that park down there should be state of the art, hopefully within 6 months. So that's why this subject came up on the agenda for tonight.
Any questions? Okay. Rocco, we're going to stay with you, young man. Discussions about the summer camp in the town of Ulster.
Yeah, summer camp. Well, we usually run 8 weeks. What I like to do is knock it down to 7 weeks, because it's getting closer to the start of school if we run any longer. And what I do is I run out of counselors and actually run out of kids. They go on vacation those last couple of weeks. So it's really no use in running for 8 weeks. Going to try 7. I want to meet with the rest of our recreation committee and discuss the prices, because they'll change now from 8 weeks to 7 weeks. So I only met with Susan right now. I want to meet with the other 3. So we're looking at July 1st to maybe August 23rd to run camp. Limited to 60 kids, town Ulster residents first. Any further update will probably be at the next board meeting.
Any questions, anybody? Okay, and one more for you.
Yeah.
Staffing at Ryder Post.
Turn the phone on for this one. I mentioned at the last meeting how hard it is to get people to work. I lost 2 employees that were doing a great job down at Post Park. I lost them for the weekdays and weekends. So the town is looking for at least 3 employees. You know, I can split these hours up instead of running an 8-hour shift to 4-hour shifts to make it easier probably for somebody that's retired. But what we're looking for is the employees must be able to do weed whacking, mowing. The appearance of the park is big time at our Post Park and Ryder Park. You know, they'll go around picking up papers, but the availability on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays is big, because that's when most of our pavilion use is. We need people there to work. So this is online. I have it on Facebook. Hopefully, if anybody else out there sees it, share it so we get the word out there. Like I said, hourly rate would be $17 an hour, but it's very hard to get anybody to even to fill an application out. So if you know anybody out there that wants to work, send them our way.
Okay. Any other questions, things on that? Okay, and to reiterate, you said you are looking to divide hours up, so you're flexible.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The next topic is the discussion of justice court callouts. I'll start that and we'll have some other comments. I want to make the board aware that, and there's some information in the packet, that we have 2 situations that have come up. Well, we've had a long-standing problem that's been going on with the problem of call outs at nighttime, of getting a judge out and the necessary public defender out for our evening call outs. This has become a bigger problem for the town recently, in that one of our judges, Judge Susie Kessick, has notified the town that she cannot be available in the evenings for call out. That left us with 1 judge available. Second thing we found out is that we've been having some problems in getting the public defender to come out. and public defender to get people out. And they explained at a police chief's meeting that they have a staffing problem. But we, in the meantime, found out, working with the court, Office of Court Administration, that the town is free. If they cannot get a public defender, we're allowed under a provision called 18B to hire an attorney based on the okay of our judge. The county will pay for that 18B attorney, which is then funded by the state. We moved ahead on that. Our Judge Kelly Flood Myers, has put together a list of those lawyers who are available and who are willing to come out nights and whatever. So she has been able to be more available because she's been willing to come out, and she's been more available because she's been able to get attorneys to come out that she had pre-vetted for this, that fall into the program. This is working, but it's not forever. But there are a couple things that our supervisor is going to explain, a couple things we want to do as motions to codify and move this forward. We believe we've come up with a remedy for now, how to properly have our court be open when needed. We do believe that eventually, as you've seen in the paper, the county will establish cap court, which the town looks forward to being part of when the things are put together correctly. But in the meantime, we do have some solutions, of which I'll turn it over to supervisor to explain.
So as you know, we have two judges. We have about 4 weeks in each month, and there's a rotation. One judge serves the first 2 weeks, and the second judge serves the second 2 weeks. With the notice from Judge Kessick that she's unable to come out at night, that leaves us with no judge in a 2-week period and a judge willing to come out in the other 2-week period. Since February 1st, Judge Myers has carried the full load when available for all night court appearances, and will continue to carry the load for all night call-outs until such time as this problem is resolved. In recognition of this commitment by Judge Myers, which is over and above her duty, I asked the town board to approve a $1,500 per month stipend effective February 1st for her appearances covering the town of Ulster court at night.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion, please. A second. Now, with a motion and a second, is there any further conversation? The only one I want to add is that this has already proved to be effective. So we'll take a roll call on this, please.
Councilwoman DeGroot, Councilwoman Hayner, Councilman Stacretto, Councilman Van Cleek.
Yes.
Supervisor Quigley.
Yes, thank you. And the second item, as it relates to the 18B attorney. As Judge Myers came out and started to understand the full extent of the problems with the Ulster County Public Defender's Office, again, they are a resource-constrained part of the Ulster County government, where they have carved up the Ulster County into 5 segments, and they don't have enough people to cover night call-outs for all 4 weeks. So there is a rotation where 2 weeks the Northern District gets an attorney and 2 weeks that the Northern District doesn't get an attorney. In addition, there have been times when, even though we had been assigned a public defender, one was not available or returning calls. Through our interaction with the Office of Court Administration, Deputy Supervisor Van Cleek and myself became available of this section 18B of the county law. We had conversations with the Public Defender's Office, who had advised us that they had advocated to the county government that they engage 18B attorneys. Well, as you know, the town of Ulster always takes the first step. And as of last Friday, on my executive authority, I authorized the call-outs for an 18B attorney, which has been practiced now 4 times. I'm asking for a appropriation from the Town of Ulster Town Board of $5,000 to continue the practice of funding these 18B attorneys until such time as we obtain reimbursement from the County of Ulster for their obligations.
Motion. Okay, moved and seconded. Any conversation? All right, a roll call, please.
Councilwoman DeGroot.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayner. Councilman Secreto. Councilman Van Cleef.
Yes.
Supervisor Quigley.
Yes, thank you.
On to old business, presentation of tax collection data from March 7th. That would be you, Sue.
Yes. As I previously reported in a prior meeting, the town's portion of the tax warrant has been satisfied in early February. Going forward, monthly collection totals are written to the Ulster County Department of Finance, which one check was actually mailed 2 days ago for the collection of February's tax collection. The total collected thus far in our office is 16.2 million, which is about 83% of the total. And as you all know, our last day of collection is June 1st.
Thank you. On to the next top, report of filing of local law 1 with New York State. Secretary of State, I mean.
In the February town board meeting, the town board passed the local law for firefighters and ambulance workers exemptions. Directly after that meeting, I sent the law and proper paperwork to the New York State Department of State, and we received confirmation from that department that as of February 21st, in time for the firefighters and ambulance exemption to be effective, it was filed in the state on February 21st, in time for the law to be effective before the March 1st deadline with our town assessor.
Okay, any questions? And the final one, motion to award bid for water and sewer purchase chemicals for 2024.
On February 21st at 3:30 PM, the bid opening took place in the town clerk's office for water department salt and chlorine for water and wastewater. For water department salt bids, the lowest bid was US Salt as with a price of $244 per ton. Do you want to do these separately or all as one?
All
as one?
Huh? Let's do them separately.
Okay, so for water, it was US Salt, $244 per ton.
Okay, motion to accept. Second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next
No.
one.
Okay, for wastewater and water, for chlorine, we received 2 bids. The lowest bid was Slack Chemical at $464.32.
All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion approved.
And that's it for the bids.
Okay. On to our next item. Resolution awarding contract TU 233 for the replacement of the Ulster Water District Small South Tower to Arrold Construction in the amount of $1,196,240. Before we have a motion to accept. Second, now discussion.
The Ulster Water District was the first district formed by the town of Ulster in 1956. In 1957, a 450,000 gallon tank was constructed on East Chester Street, adjacent to the current town highway garage. That tank remained in service until about a year ago. Over the last 10 years, that tank has developed the reputation of kind of being a piece of Swiss cheese and has been repeatedly plugged and welded to prevent the water from seeping out. The tank was recently demolished. A plan was designed and went out to bid to replace the tank with a 500,000 gallon tank structure. And we received a $500,000 grant from Ulster County under a subaward of their ARPA funds. The project was estimated for $1.8 million. Expected costs are going to come in about $1.4 to $1.5 million. Primary bid is for approximately $1.2 million. I wholeheartedly endorse this. Arrold Construction was the company that constructed the recently replaced Halcyon Park water tank in 2021.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, with that, the resolution is included in our packet. It does call for a roll call. For approval, please.
Councilwoman DeGroot, Councilwoman Hayner, Councilman Secreto, Councilman Van Cleef.
Yes.
Supervisor Quigley.
Yes.
Okay. At this point of the meeting, we have completed the items that are on our agenda. And we are now about ready to open the floor to public comment. At this point, we'll open the floor to public comment. You can come up here and speak to the board. Remind everyone that there's a 3-minute limit. I don't have a watch, but we will try to watch for we all can police ourselves. So please state your name. And you all know the rules. So if there's anyone who'd like to speak to the board, please do so now. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Eileen Murphy. I live at 114 Quail Drive in the town of Ulster, and I'm going to make a presentation about the safety issues on Quail Drive. And I have copies of my presentation here. And the one that I'm giving to Supervisor Quigley, because this is has an attachment of petitions, I'm giving that one to Supervisor. I am an active, whoops. Good evening. I am also an active member of the Town of Ulster Citizens.org. We have a petition that has been signed by 93 signatures from my neighbors living in the Fox Run and Sunrise area of the Town of Ulster. Each of the petition signers lives along the 8 streets of this neighborhood. They walk or run or bike or exercise, stroll with children or grandchildren, and walk their dogs. These streets are Quail Drive, Ledge Road, Van Cleeks Lane, Risley Street, Dogwood Place, Sunrise Avenue, Warren Street, and Cora Terrace. The purpose of this petition is to recommend a specific intervention on traffic safety that we have raised many times in the past. First, in 2010, with the proposed development of Ulster Manor. Second, in 2017, with the planning board seeker hearings for Ulster Gardens. And third, and recently in 2023, when there was an informal discussion of possibly expanding Ulster Gardens. This conceptual plan was withdrawn due to a potentially large volume of opposition related to traffic safety concerns. The current situation is very serious, but it may become even more dangerous due to the recent approval of the development of a church on Memorial Drive, 50 feet from the border of Ulster Gardens, with quick access from Quail Drive. In their application to the planning board, the church officials stated that there could be as many as 100 cars for each of the gatherings that may occur 2 to 3 times a week. This is a serious impact. Once again, we request, this being the 4th time, that the town of Ulster stop all vehicular traffic on Quail Drive south of the townhouses. We recommend the installation of an electronically controlled gate openable to all emergency and official personnel from a keypad or Knox box at the gate. The most effective positioning of the gate would be at the top of the hill at the 2 very large but ineffective do not enter signs. We are not seeking to create an exclusive gated community. We are seeking to restore our collective safety. We continue to welcome a free flow of pedestrians from Ulster Gardens community. I'm going to alter my last paragraph, so it's not going to be as written, because I heard with interest as Councilmember Clayton Van Cleek brought up the Ashokan Reservoir and the turbidity of the water. And I was at a town board meeting where residents and citizens of this town spoke to the board about their concern about the water and its effect on their wells. And so I then saw that article in the Hudson Valley One and was very pleasantly surprised to see that there was some action that the board was able to take through the help of Senator Hinchy to get New York City DEC to have a conversation about this problem in our town, to which Clayton Van Cleek was very pleased with the outcome because he felt that there was some action taken. So the reason I bring that up is because as I listened to that presentation, I thought about the parallel process and that, in fact, we as citizens have been asking for a long time for some help. And I noticed how pleased you all were that the state finally listened to you. So I would alter my last paragraph to say that that really is our intention, that we continue to have a conversation about protecting the citizens in the area where additional development has occurred, which could result in more traffic, which has been a pretty consistent concern. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, please come up.
Good evening, Supervisor Quigley and members of the town board. My name is Barbara Fonte and I live at 126 Quail Drive in the town of Ulster. Here are two examples of current major safety concerns expressed by two residents living on Quail Drive.
Sure.
One is from my next door neighbor, Dolores Gill, and the other is from me. Dolores has lived at 128 Quail Drive for 25 years. She gave me permission to read her statement publicly. Her statement is as follows. Excuse me. I am 82 years old and I am afraid to walk my dog on the road in front of my house. Even picking up my mail at the community mailbox a short walk away can be scary because of the car stepping on the gas to zoom up the hill toward Ulster Gardens. Traffic even comes down that hill, even though the Quail Drive extension is one way and it is illegal. Here is my story. I have lived at 126 Quail Drive for 29 years and have encountered traffic problems on the Quail Drive extension since its development 14 years ago. I'm not sure if that 14 is right. Okay. Anticipated traffic problems were brought to the town of Ulster's attention at open planning board meetings during the extension's planning stages to no avail. Here we are 14 years later facing the same problems, which I believe will become substantially exacerbated upon the completion and opening of the Jehovah Witnesses Church being built at the base of Quail Drive Extension next to the UPS facility on Memorial Drive. Two major safety hazards we are presently experiencing on Quail Drive are: one, the vehicles traveling the wrong way down into the Fox Run Townhouse complex on this one-way extension road, where children play and people frequently walk and ride bikes both up and down, completely unaware that a vehicle may be coming the wrong way down the hill. All activity takes place in the road since there are no sidewalks on the extension. I have personally stopped many cars coming down the hill, ignoring the do not enter signs at the top of the hill. I am not just talking about passenger cars, but commercial vehicles such as FedEx, UPS, and Amazon Prime. When I tell them I intend to call their companies to report them, they sometimes will dismiss me and with "be my guest" or "have a nice day, lady." When I stop ordinary people and tell them their driving is not only illegal but dangerous, I get either an annoyed response or a middle finger wave. The second major safety hazard we presently encounter is the speed at which vehicles are driven down Quail Drive towards the extension. 30-mile-per-hour speed signs were installed by the town, but they have had little or no impact on the situation. However, I want to mention that I have had success when I reported concerns to the Kingston City School District about the school bus stop on the corner of Quail Drive and Van Cleek's Lane. While waiting for the bus, parents would park their cars on both sides of the road and let their children play in between the cars, virtually shutting down Quail Drive. Thankfully, the school district heard our concern and moved the bus stop. The residents of Bucks Run greatly appreciate the school district's attention and action taken in this matter. Our neighborhood has no sidewalks, and we are not asking for sidewalks as an afterthought. We have many octogenarians, little children in strollers or on bikes, and people of all ages in between who enjoy all the winding, distinctive blocks through Bucks Run and Sunrise. We enjoy the sense of community we share with residents of Ulster Gardens who also walk through the neighborhood, and we want all of that to continue. Please heed the recommendations of the Town of Ulster citizens and protect the safety and well-being of our community. Thank you. Yes. I wrote a couple of, I have a clean copy. All right. Thank you.
Someone else has their hand, please.
Good evening. My name is Mary Montag. I live at 5 Parkside Drive with my sister Cynthia here in the town of Ulster. Supervisor Quigley, we had a nice conversation yesterday regarding some of the changes that have been proposed and are under contract regarding Halcyon Park water source being provided to the thruway stop in the town of Ulster. I was hoping tonight would be a bit of a Q&A. I see that now. Yes, absolutely. So first and foremost, I want to fully acknowledge that I have not been a regular participant here in these board meetings. I acknowledge that. Having said that, what we're observing lately in the last month or so is that information is being disseminated through the Daily Freeman, not through channels that I would have expected. So the changes that have been proposed and are underway regarding our water changes to the Halcyon Park District seem like they warrant more of a public town hall forum discussion with the residents as to what led us to this path, why it may be beneficial to us, any concerns the town board may have regarding this, and what's been done to alleviate those concerns or mitigate them. So since this is not a Q&A, Supervisor Quigley, I guess what I'm asking is that do you have any intentions of holding a formal town hall type meeting or doing a mailing? Certainly. Okay, so I would like to level set on consumption. We currently have, per the data you provided yesterday, 163 families that are in the Halcyon Park, residential families that are in the Halcyon Park Water District. The thruway rest stop now will be an additional draw on that. So I'm trying to understand, has New York State Thruway Authority provided the actual numbers of their consumption over the last, say, 5 years or so? Okay. Okay, certainly. Okay, the Daily Freeman article that was dated May 12th, 2020 indicated that there would be a $450 million improvement across all rest stops in New York State. And part of that improvement at some facilities indicated that there would be potentially launder or shower facilities for commercial truckers to come through. I want to know whether the changes being done at our town of Ulster stop will include laundry and potentially laundry and shower facilities for truckers. I read through the contract that was included in the February 15th meeting minutes. I do see the scope of this project. However, I don't see projected costs of tying the thruway rest stop into our water source. So I'm looking for projected costs, total projected costs. Freeman article dated February 19th of this year indicates that the Thruway Authority will be paying $186,800 towards construction costs. Again, what fraction is that number of the total cost? Also in the contract, it indicates that the Thruway entity pays for water only. They do not pay tax on the water. They do not pay fees. They do not pay assessments. I just want to confirm that is the case. If we have an infrastructure issue down the road, a significant one, given the additional draw on our water resources and the mechanics and mechanicals, who is responsible? Will they absorb any of that, or are the residents of Halcyon Park Water District footing the bill for any potential infrastructure changes down the road? And Jim, in our conversation yesterday, or supervisor, you indicated that you had done some due diligence and applied an uptick, shall we say, to the water cost to compensate the draw, the additional draw. And I believe you had indicated their costs will be approximately 220% higher than residential customers. And on the surface, that sounds like a reasonable number, but I'm trying to understand the data and any empirical evidence that you use to arrive at that number. And then lastly, there appears to be another facility in upstate New York, Pembroke, the town of Pembroke, that did a similar thing, allowing the New York State Thruway Authority to tie into their water system. I'm wondering if you guys had uncovered that, and if so, have you had any discussions with other townships or municipalities regarding their experience with New York State Thruway Authority?
Before I answer her questions, are there any other individuals here tonight on this topic? Please come forward and recognized by Chairman Danford.
My name is Cynthia Montag, and I'm at 5 Parkside Drive in Halcyon Park. One additional question that I have is in the contract, it states that you're expecting the Thruway Authority to approximately use 18,000 gallons a day. However, a maximum of 25,000 gallons a day. So I was wondering if they go over 25,000 gallons a day, what happens? What does that mean? Because the contract says max. And I believe my sister covered everything else.
Thank you. I'm Roger Miller. I'm a resident of Halcyon Park, 36 Parkside Drive. Before I get to my questions, I'd like to first thank the Town of Ulster Water Department for their continuing. I've lived there almost 30 years, and they've delivered a continual adequate supply and high quality water to the residents of Halcyon Park, and I want to thank them and recognize them for that. As an aside, I also would like to compliment the town highway department for doing a good job this winter clearing our roads and keeping things under control there. So, I wanted to start with those two things.
Excuse me, the police chief's in the back also. He's looking for his share.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have much experience with the police department, so. Okay. Given the communication as a resident of Halcyon Park on this topic has been a little less than transparent from our perspective at this point, I do have some specific questions. I would like, and very much in line with the Montag's questions, like to understand the range of consumption that the rest area, because there's different water conditions, different droughts, different temperatures, different rainfalls. What would there be in terms of their range of consumption for the rest area and for Halcyon Park? And do those sums then to the second question, what is the water well capacity? And how close is that gap? And so what is the risk to us developing water problems out of this agreement? Thank you very much.
Any other individuals with questions on the Halcyon Park water? Go ahead.
So my other question is, what if we lose power? Is the town of Ulster going to provide a generator? Because the
throughway authority, of course, will be a continuous source of people coming and going. I don't know if it's an issue to the residents. I haven't experienced any loss of water during a power outage, but now you're gonna have that many more customers using it. So that was one of my concerns, as well as what will happen to our taxes if you find out that however you figured out the percentage isn't enough. This contract is 40 years long. Are we able to renegotiate it at any time if we find that they're using a lot more than they said they were going to use? And now we're footing the bill for that.
Any additional questions? So let's go to some historic information to set the stage. The Water District was originally a privately owned facility by John Frederick, or the Fredericks family, who developed Halcyon Park. In 1976, Mr. Fredericks desired to sell the Water District and entered into negotiations with the town of Ulster. In July of 1976, there was a public hearing held. And there are 6 pages of comments in here from local residents, and Mrs. Montague, your mother, spoke eloquently at that meeting. At the conclusion of that meeting, a vote was taken. 44 residents voted in favor of proceeding, and 6 residents voted in favor of not proceeding. So the majority of the residents who appeared at that public hearing approved the creation of a town-owned water district. Later in that year, the town board passed the resolution creating the water district and filing the organization papers, which was what, with the office in New York State, which was then called Audit and Control, and is now the Office of the State Controller. The Audit and Control's office responsibility was to make sure that the financial burden was not overpowering the residents' ability to pay in the district to be formed. That is a requirement that continues to this day, that the town has to meet every time we go to do a district extension or a creation of a new district, as we did with the sewer district in Spring Lake. 1977, the town purchased or passed a resolution authorizing the borrowing of a sum of money that would allow the purchase of the district from Mr. Fredericks, and also paying for what appears to be about $300,000 worth of capital improvements. Those capital improvements included the construction of an 85,000 gallon tank up at the end of Dockenhausen Lane, replacing the 10,000 gallon concrete cistern that Mr. Fredericks had originally used to service the district. Let's jump forward to 2016. The town of Ulster received a notice of violation from the Ulster County Department of Health, ordering the town to repair or replace the tank. We had engineering analysis done on both repair and replace. Over the last 30 years, with OSHA and other environmental laws, the painting of the interior of the tanks have become quite expensive. So when we looked at the cost of rehabilitating the existing tank by painting it versus the cost of replacing it with a glass-lined tank that does not require painting, it came out that over the life cycle of the expected life cycle of the tank, it was cheaper to replace the tank. We, the town board, in several meetings in this forum, discussed application and approved an application to the Environmental Facilities Corporation for either a low-cost interest-free loan or a grant to support the replacement of the 85,000 gallon tank. That project was originally estimated to cost $450,000. Now, unfortunately, Town of Ulster was not looked upon favorably by the Environmental Facilities Corporation, and we were denied twice external funding on two different grant applications in 17 and 19, I believe. That left the town board with a decision to make. Do we bond the $465,000 project and assess it to the 163 homeowners in the district, along with the other capital improvements that are annually recurring within the district? At that time, the Thruway Authority had expressed an interest in buying water. So the town reconfigured its grant application, increasing the tank to 120,000 gallons of capacity in anticipation of entering into an agreement to sell water. We were successful in receiving a $450,000 grant. That means we don't have to pay it back. That means we save the residents, the 163 customers, an assessment for that amount of capital improvement. Now, prior to making that grant application, we evaluated our wells. And we also examined the 2018 consumption of the New York State Thruway service area, which, based upon records provided to us, was 10,765 gallons a day. When we evaluated the wells, it was determined that we were coming up on the cycle that occurs every 10 years, where the water department is required to clean the wells and rehabilitate them. What that means is to remove the rust that is on the metal screen in the hole to improve water flow, to check the pumps to make sure their performance is up to par, and other maintenance activities. This was a cost that we were going to occur with or without a contract to the Thruway Authority. This rehabilitation cost the district $35,000. We also spent approximately $5,000 in rehabilitating the pumps. These two capital costs have been charged to the tank project, which at the present time is not costing the residents a dime. Upon completion of the rehabilitation of the wells, and I have the engineering reports here if you wish to look at it, we have two wells. They penetrate two different veins of water. One is at 72 feet and one is at 40 feet. And the seasonal pattern of operation for the Ulster Water Department at the present time is to rotate the use between well number 1 and well number 2 throughout the year. The evaluated capacity of the wells, based upon the engineer's report at the end of the 2020 rehabilitation, was between 100 and 110 gallons a minute. On a daily capacity, that is 144,000 gallons of collected capacity. Over the last 10 years, or I should say 8 years, between 2014 and 2022, the Halcyon Park Water District has used 21,000 gallons. That's from our consumption records that were billed to the customers. We received an updated consumption number from the Thruway Authority for 2022 of 12,800 gallons for the 7-month period ending July. And if you will notice, there's no building there now because they tore it down. They are in the process of building a new facility in which they have told us that they are under state mandate to use Energy Star criteria, which means low flow water fixtures in the bathrooms and low consumption. That is their target. So when you combine the current use of 21,000 gallons, which is an average, last year's use was only 18,000 gallons. With the 12,800, you get 33,800 gallons. If you take one well and you run it for 24 hours a day at 50% of its rated capacity, we get 72,000 gallons. And the consumption is 46.95% of the theoretical capacity of one well. We would not have received approval from the health department to undertake this supply agreement if we had insufficient water resources. And based upon the engineering reports we have, it supported the consumption expectations of this facility. Let's go to the economics. As you know, I referred you to the town's website the other day to look up the agreements, and I also mentioned to you that the town of Ulster's budgets were on the same website. The 2024 budget, which is on the website, shows that the gross revenues of the Halcyon Park Water District is $116,000. That's a combination of the expected water charges of $35,700, the real estate taxes of $56,000, other revenues of $5,400, and the contribution from the fund balance of $19,700. So I asked myself, as you noted in the contract, the Thruway Authority does not pay real estate taxes. So I asked, what water rate does the town need to charge to make an equivalent revenue stream to not diminish the existing 173 residents? I have the calculation here. I'll be glad to share it with you. It was 225% of the rate that's in effect today. Now, you asked about the 40 years. If you read closely in the language over the rate, you will read the language that says they will be charged the rate as annually set by the Town of Ulster Town Board. And I also provided to you the modification of the fee schedule that outlined the rate structure that's currently in existence with the additional rate that was going to be charged to the Thruway Authority. What this does on a 10,000 gallon per day average use, it produces another $48,000 to the Halcyon Park Water District in revenues, gross revenues before expenses. If you look at our budget closely, you will note that the majority of the expenses are fixed expenses. They do not change with the volume of water produced by the district. The variables expenses related to the incremental sale of water are increased electric and increased chemicals and possibly increased maintenance supplies. It is estimated that that is going to total less than $8,000 a year. This will produce a net profit to the town Halcyon Park Water District of approximately $40,000 a year. Now you're going to ask us, what are we going to do with that $40,000? Okay. The pump house is 50 years old. There is a single filter in the pump house, which I was recently informed was adequate under the rules and regulations in 1970s for a private water owner. We may be anticipating a $200,000 additional filter installation because we are a municipal system. That's an installation that will occur with or without the Thruway Authority. In addition, the distribution lines within the district, a portion of the district, the original subdivision, are approaching 60 years old. They are not ductile iron pipe. They're not cast iron pipe. They're pipe that deteriorate over the life of the system and will have to be replaced. When I came into office, I was presented with a 2008 engineer's estimate of over $1 million to replace that system's pipes. I understand your concern about the water quantity and how it will affect you. I also understand your concerns about the economics as to whether we're giving something away. I hope that the numbers that I have shown you, that are all based upon publicly available information, will sway you to understand that we have diligently discharged our responsibilities as a town board to find the best way to fund future capital improvements without taking them out of your pocket. You asked about the costs of the tank. The project budget was $730,000. As you mentioned in your review of the contract, you note that the town of Ulster is receiving from the Thruway Authority a payment of $186,800. That is towards the construction of the tank, their portion of the increase in the tank, and the cost of the water line from Frederick Drive to the property line at the Thruway service area. We have the costs covered. Additionally, you mentioned as to what is going to happen in the future if there were unexpected capital improvements. As I demonstrated to you and you read in the contract, the Town of Ulster Town Board has the right to set the water rates for that district. We would set the water rates higher for the Thruway Authority. Now, is there any question I did? Oh, the electric. Please drive by the pump plant and pay close attention. There is electrical receptacle on the exterior of the front of the building. The Town of Ulster Water District maintains a portable generator that is dispatched to all the water districts when we have electrical outages. And it's dispatched for a long enough period of time so that the tanks can be refilled. Now, we have 125,000 or 120,000 gallons of storage capacity with the current use of about 20,000 gallons. That's 10 days of no electric. Okay? That's extreme. I don't think that's going to happen. Were there any other questions that I didn't answer? I can't answer the shower facilities. I'm not privy to their internal plans and specifications. You did note that they have a right to take up to 25,000 gallons on a warm day. But overall, I believe, or I hope I have demonstrated to you, the town has the capacity. And quite frankly, at $13 1,000 gallons, I hope they buy a lot of water. Because at the end of the day, that puts more money in the bank accounts of the Halcyon Park Water District to alleviate the future capital needs of the district. And I also want to comment. About 5 years ago, we had an inquiry from Verizon and we put a small cell tower up on the water tank parcel, that $2,400 a year in rent is going directly into a capital reserve account to provide a financial cushion for future capital improvements when the time comes. So we are diligently trying to plan for the future. Something that I'm not totally comfortable that previous administrations did. Yes. How will that help you? I'll see what we can do. Any additional questions?
Regarding Glen Airy, were there any other comments or things that anyone in the public wanted to address this board for this evening in this public comment session? Yes, please.
I'm Kaylin Sanders, a Town of Ulster resident. I'd like to address my comments to Councilwomen Hayner and DeGroot, who I have not personally met. I specifically want to direct my comments to you on behalf of myself and over 50 neighbors in Glen Airy Lake Park. Thank you for representing women's interests in the town of Ulster and inspiring more women to get civically engaged. I'm a businesswoman like you with a small business, and although I'm not a mother, I do have an instinctual need to care for my neighbors, my environment, animals, children in the community, and leave a legacy for generations to come. I believe both of you ran on those values, and while our politics may differ on policies, I think we have those values in common. That said, we encourage you to claim your rightful and equal voices on this board. As voters, we'd love for you to be more proactive in bringing 21st century ideas and solutions and forward-thinking resolutions to the table that will enhance the town of Ulster and not deplete it. We need an updated, comprehensive plan for the town. The last one was done 16 years ago. Much has changed. Recently, our Glen Airy Lake Park community has greatly suffered as a result of multiple decisions on ill-conceived projects made by this board and our town planning board without taking an updated comprehensive plan and long-term view into consideration. As an example, next week, Bread Alone is going before the planning board. Now, in addition to their silos, they want to add a new large building on 9W with bays for their diesel rigs and a large asphalt parking lot for an additional 16 diesel trucks, all within mere feet of a pond that's already impaired and is on a federal wetland that feeds the Esopus Creek, just a few yards upstream from our neighborhood. It begs the question, why would Bread Alone, which consistently touts itself as a leader in the environmental field, not only play a role in a 50-acre massive deforestation for the Central Hudson Training Facility, but also usher in disastrous environmental effects from increased truck traffic, air pollution, and diesel runoff into a federal wetland? We'll never know. So from our perspective, I hope you can see that the last few years over the Central Hudson issue, transparency has felt out the window in the town of Ulster. And it seems like there are a lot of deals that are made behind closed doors. Past planning board and town board meetings are not still posted in a timely manner despite our requests. So we feel uninformed, and agendas are posted at the last minute. So we can't fully comprehend or research the issues or even organize to protest. As citizens, we would prefer to work with the town, but how are we to do that when on one night we're meeting at the senior center with the county's lower Esopus stream management team on ways to save the creek, and on the following night the town planning board is issuing permits that will surely pollute it? It's clear to us that currently this is a one-way conversation. And we're hoping that you can change that and usher in a new era. Once again, I am appealing to you to bring your ideas to this panel as to how we can best nurture and protect this community, but also as businesswomen who understand that in 2024, there are plenty of innovative and sustainable ways to still grow the town's tax base in the name of progress without sacrificing our clean water, our clean air, our trees, our wildlife, and our quality of life. And that is our first step. It's to update our long-term vision for this town, a comprehensive plan, not laterally, not as adversaries, but together as a community. Thank you.
Yes, Vicky.
Good evening, Town Board. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but my name is Vicky Macarini and I live at 170 Ledge Road. I have to agree with the last speaker. Our town hadn't done their comprehensive plan in over 16 years. Many towns are now doing that. They are updating their comprehensive plans. They're updating a list of their natural resources inventory. And there's actually an inventory being created. It's called the Hudson Valley Natural Resource Inventory map. And Clayton, I also sent you a training for the planning department for solar mapping. And if they take that training, they're going to learn the natural resources. It's scenic Hudson's mapping. And there's a lot of layers in there. And one of them is the natural resources, but local knowledge is also needed for that. So Jim Quigley, I think, might have some of that information because he's been our supervisor quite a long time. But anyway, I think, because of the climate change that we're going through, our comprehensive plan needs to be updated because of climate change and actually making a list of all our natural resources in the town. And hopefully, the town will, and the planning department will go to some of these trainings. I am a participant on the County Environmental Management Commission, and I also attend their legislative meeting on the environment and sustainability and energy. So a lot of this is being talked about, and I can give you lots of information. There's grants out there to do your comprehensive plan that you can apply for. So I just want to encourage you to please do that.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Lucarini. Ms. Lucarini. I forwarded to your husband a copy of an article that I received from Cornell University
Yes, and I
on the
received,
value of young growth forests on the wildlife. You did receive it.
I did, and thank you very much.
No
And I really wasn't, when I talked at the town board meeting, I really wasn't against the people doing it. I just wanted to make sure that they did their homework, and I saw that they did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, Laura Hartman. I'm at 44 Catskill Avenue, and I am going to continue this theme, although I plan to say it. Two messages that I've been speaking at a number of times at these meetings, and the first is redoing our comprehensive plan. And we can thank Mr. Kimball for my bringing this up tonight because of the article that he wrote about Hurley, the town of Hurley getting a $36,800 grant for natural resources inventory, which brings me back to my other point that I harp on of having a CAC. Because they have a CAC, they had access to these funds to do the inventory of their natural resources. And there were two statements in here that really spoke to me. And one was on the updating of the comprehensive plan, where it says that that updating that, and it gives the town the vision for the town and where it wants to go what kind of development we can have and what kind of development we can't have. I think that's really important for us to know at this point. A lot has changed since 2007 with when our last comprehensive plan was done. And the other part that spoke to me was that the last sentence, by doing the natural resource inventory, then we can identify parcels that could possibly be preserved. We're seeing a lot of development in the town of Ulster, it seems, all of a sudden. Brett alone, Central Hudson, the church over on Memorial Drive, the possibility of Xena development coming in up in Ruby, and how many trees have come down and will come down. We really need to have an inventory of what our natural resources are to know how much we need to protect that. It's a very important question at this point. So I brought copies of the article for all of you to see, and the point that with the CAC, we have access, we could have access to other grants that could help us on this mission.
You can leave them, hand them out to us. 1 second, Vicky, we have another, did you?
And I just wanted to say one other thing with your court issue. I'm going to say again, I'm going to do my best to stay out of trouble so that I don't have to,
There you go.
call for a judge in the middle of the night.
That's a big help. That'll cut it down a lot. Sir, I had a hand in the back earlier. Yep.
Good evening. My name is Joe Burns. I was the author of the letter that Ms. Reevy read about an hour or so ago. I sent it to Supervisor Quigley and Ms. Reevy because those were the emails I found on the website. So I hope your feelings weren't hurt if you didn't get a copy sent to you as well.
My email is on there.
When I looked, I found these too. So that's it. Anyway, reason why I'm here this evening is as you may or may not know, pickleball is like completely taking off. The game has just blown up. It's the fastest growing sport in America. It laps everything else a couple times over. And we have a supply and demand problem here in Ulster County. It's not just a game for us old retired people to play. All 9 school districts in Ulster County teach pickleball as part of their phys ed unit. So the junior high kids are playing, the high school kids are playing. You go on any of the local courts and it's packed with kids of all ages, all the way up to, 80 plus years old. And it's an easy game to play. It's a hard game to master. And the game's not going to die off when all us old people move on. The game is trending in a direction where it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. Look at every projection you see out there. This game is just like completely blowing up. There's many reasons for that. It's a small court. It's easy to play. It's easy on the body, the joints. It's a fast-paced, exciting game. Seniors especially really enjoy the workout that you can get while playing the game, as do middle school kids and high school kids as well. And as I said in my letter, that I do go to Post Park often, and there's that perfect piece of land right next to the basketball courts on the north part of Post Park. It's a nice flat piece of land. It's a small court. You could easily put 2 courts in. You would need a 60-foot by 120-foot space. That would be 2 courts. Mr. Credo does the summer camps. He's looking to get 60 kids. The summer camp, that would be a great space. If you want to like break up into groups and do different things, just to have another active space for kids to go during the summer camp time, it would be a perfect addition for his camp, and I think for Post Park itself. Fencing in the area would be ideal, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker. You can certainly still play the game. The ball rolls off into the grass. It would be fine, but to have it fenced off would certainly help the life of the courts, and it might also enhance the park as well, in my opinion. There's lots of estimates out there for how much courts cost. That is way out of my comfort zone and wheelhouse. I have no idea how that would work. What I've learned was the most cost-effective way to go would be acrylic hard court system, and that costs about $20 a square foot. But again, that's really not my area of knowledge. If there is interest from your side of the table, I'd be very excited about that, and I would like to do whatever I could to help make this become a reality. Thank you for your time.
I'll bring it up to the rec committee. We do have 3 mini parks
Mhm.
with basketball courts.
Mhm.
That if you want to put lines on them, you have to get your own net.
Mhm.
I mean, we'll pay for the lines. If you want to do that. That's an idea.
How about you pay for the nets, I'll pay for the lines.
You gotta take a net with you. But, I had a teacher from the high school get a hold of me last year, never got back a hold of me. I went up and put fake lines up on, Elmendorf Park, Rolling Meadows,
Mhm.
and, he never got back home. I'll bring it up with the committee.
Yeah, as I said, there's a supply and demand problem right now. Cantine Field is the biggest and best around. Lauren Park is under construction. People built them in their own.
$250 million.
Mhm. Yes, I'm not that greedy. I'd be happy for a couple of courts next to the court, basketball court if possible.
Look it up.
Thank you, and I'd be happy to help any way I can.
I'll get a hold.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Vicky, you wanted to come back up?
I'm sorry, I'll be very brief. I just want to say that you do have citizens that will volunteer to help you with the comprehensive plan, the natural resources inventory. So.
And you must be one of them.
So, but that's what a CAC is all about. It's just, the citizens, just volunteering their time to help. Okay?
Okay, thank you. You've been a great group of friends, neighbors, and citizens. So thanks a lot for being here tonight. Not yet. Okay.
I want to take this opportunity to compliment Deputy Supervisor Clayton Van Cleek on his conduct of the meeting tonight. You're going to see more of this in the future. Over the last several months, there have been 2 words in the forefront of my mind: over and next. And while next does not concern those in this room, over may. For the last 14 and a half years, I've had the honor and the privilege of serving the town of Ulster as its elected supervisor. And tonight, I am announcing my retirement effective August 31st at 11:59 p.m. You may ask, why August 31st? Number one, it gives Mr. Van Cleek and myself 6 months to conduct an organized transition where hopefully I can leave him with the collective knowledge, wisdom, and experiences of the last 14 and a half years for the benefit of the future residents in the town of Ulster. Tonight, you've seen 2 infrastructure projects that have been the keystone of my last 14 and a half years in the town. I look forward to getting the water tank under construction and the Rupco projects, both the water and sewer, started. And lastly, I look forward to getting the Halcyon Park Water District service line installed to the Ulster service area of the New York State Thruway Authority at no cost to the 163 homeowners in that district. My most important goal in the next 6 months is to mentor our new controller, to be able to fill my shoes and master the finances as I have shown over the last 14 and a half years. When I came into office, the general fund was out of money. The previous supervisor had borrowed money to make it look like there was money and left us with approximately $3 million worth of debt. Over those 14 and a half years, that $3 million worth of debt has been paid off. The current cash balances of the town collectively exceed $28 million, which has provided a cushion in the budget for 2024 of over $1 million of interest income, which minimizes tax increases. I want to remind you, that will go the other way when interest rates come back down. The town will not be able to continue to earn money at the same level as that is budgeted. We have several interesting economic development opportunities that include Park and other locations around the town. And as to the comments on bread alone, Nell's leader came to me and pleaded with me. He did not want to relocate his business to Pennsylvania, but his business is growing. That is the reason he closed the restaurant, was to provide additional space for his growing workforce. They need the extra 11,000 square feet in that project. And they're doing it in a way that minimizes the damages that were illustrated tonight. In conclusion, I want to thank you for your support. I ask you to support this town board in their decisions in picking and validating a future supervisor and filling, if they choose to elevate someone from the town board, the vacancy that will be created on the town board when it occurs. Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? None.